Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to call to order the 2020 Economic Sustainability Summit, State of the City. This event would not be possible without the generous support of our sponsors, including our lead sponsor, the City of Santa Monica. Please. Our presenting sponsors, Water Garden, Santa Monica Place, Optimum Seismic, the Plaza at Santa Monica, and Providence St. John's Health Center. Please. Our futurist sponsors, Bank of America, Santa Monica Travel and Tourism, and Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. I would also like to acknowledge Mayor Kevin McKeown, Mayor Pro Tem Terry O'Day, and members of our City Council, Anna Hara, Greg Morena, Sue Himmelridge, Gleam Davis, and Ted Winterer. As well as our City Manager, Rick Cole, and City Attorney, Lane Dill. We do also have many staff, including Chief of Police, Cynthia Renaud, and Fire Chief, Bill Walker. We would like to welcome City Commissioners, Chamber Board members, and representatives from the Office of Congressman Ted Lieu, Assembly Member Richard Bloom, and Supervisor Sheila Kuehl. We appreciate the support and partnership from all of our community leaders. Thank you. Our networking reception will follow immediately after tonight's program and features local restaurants offering vegetarian small bites utilizing reusable foodware. Please stay and get to know your neighbors, meet new businesses, and more about our wonderful and amazing city. Working together, the event aligns the City of Santa Monica, disposable food service ware regulations, and Santa Monica's efforts to be zero waste by 2030. Now, please. Now I would like to welcome to the stage Ian McIlraith, Director of Community Relations for Soka Gakkai International, our host for this evening. Thank you.
Good evening, business leaders and citizens of Santa Monica. We SGI Buddhists are very happy to be hosting this special event again for this best city in the world. In support of all your endeavors and our collective safety and security, SGI Buddhists around the country are doing their best every day to enact the pledge voiced by our youth at their Lions of Justice gathering, 50,000 strong recently. That is, to view the people of the world as family, all equally worthy of respect, to end violence in our homes and communities while fighting to end the senseless killing of precious individuals, to ceaselessly engage in dialogue that uproots ideas that justify hatred and discrimination, to remember that Earth is our common home that we must protect and work together to reduce human activity that threatens the survival of our planet, and finally, to fight to abolish nuclear weapons by 2030. Thank you, Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce, for bringing the State of the City here. Let's have a value creative time together this evening. Thank you.
Santa Monica is a city like no other. We enjoy a wealth of civic, cultural, natural, and spiritual offerings that make our home special. Our thriving economy is one that benefits directly from the generosity and social impact of our local business leaders. Tonight, we celebrate some of these leaders who, as good corporate citizens, promote sustainable practices, well-being, inclusivity, and the quality of life we enjoy in the special place where we work and live our lives.
At St. John's Health Center, we've identified 4 primary social issues that we think we can have an impact on throughout the greater community of Santa Monica. And one of those is at the core of what we do, and that is providing affordable access to health care. Number 1. Number 2 is we think that it's super important that we have the services available to prevent and treat chronic disease and illness in our community. And third, we also think it's important that we have the right resources available to treat those who might be suffering from any type of mental health issues or substance abuse. And finally, number 4 is making sure that we also have the right resources and services to take care of the growing homeless population that we have throughout our community. By ourselves, we're only going to have a limited impact, but if we use that force that we have and that large scale of St. John's to partner with other nonprofit agencies, then we'll make a bigger and better difference together in the community. And if together, we're working together instead of competing with each other, but we're collaborating and working for the greater good, then the impact that we could have on this community is tremendous.
How do my actions as my company, as my team, how do we influence the rest of the community around us in a positive way? Make things better than we found it. In my opinion, some of the most significant issues that we are dealing with as a community, as a city, as a region is sustainability and resilience. You cannot be sustainable without being resilient. What happens to the cities around us matters. If they do not survive after a major earthquake, it's going to impact us. If they're not resilient, it's going to impact us. We are all interconnected, environmentally, socially, and economically. Today, I'm really proud and I'm really looking forward to be part of its future, protecting this beautiful place and the city and community of ours.
Our company is very focused on sustainability and the effects of climate change that we have ability to improve. And so as a property, Santa Monica Place reinvested and ensured that we went to become a LEED certified project back in 2010. And since that time, we've continued to work towards innovating to zero at the property in the future. Our primary focus is to create an environment where people can come and feel good and be relaxed. The launch last year of Santa Monica Pride celebration really led to an unbelievably heartwarming community time. Santa Monica Place is really focused on expanding our cultural experiences. And most recently, we had our Chinese New Year celebration. And because of the Caton Children's Museum edition, the number of people that came increased by over 1,000. We had the most successful event with over 2,500 people come and enjoy this cultural celebration all day.
The goal for the plaza at Santa Monica is to program spaces to make them places, to design a community where people are the priority. The plaza will house a community garden, a place for music and performances, an ice skating rink during the winter. The garden and the farm are great equalizers, settings for encountering new friends and neighbors, a way to knit the community together. The plans for the plaza are designed to be unique and not duplicate anything that's developing in other parts of the city, but to connect all of those siloed pieces and places into a beautiful and rich experience for all of the people of Santa Monica.
Our ownership, JP Morgan, and our management team and leasing team, CBRE, we've got a great responsibility here. This project is a 17-acre parcel. We have over 4,000 employees here every day. And because of that scale, it's important for us to listen to what's important to the city. We looked at that and said, we need to be more responsible. We need to make some changes out here and be more sustainable and more green. We did a complete transformation of the project. And as a result of that transformation, we save over 2 million gallons of water a year not having the lake that we had. We save over 3 million gallons of water because of our drought tolerance, and that is through recycled and reused water program that we have here at the Water Garden. We feel like we have a really important impact on the community here, and we don't take that responsibility lightly.
There's a tremendous opportunity at the Water Garden for green commuting. We are right across the street from the Expo line. There's a big blue bus. There is ride share. There's also bike share and scooter share. It's a great place to commute in a green way.
At the Water Garden, we feel it's important to be a good corporate citizen, and the City of Santa Monica allows us to fulfill that with our partnership. We love the city, and we want them to know that they have our full support.
Please please welcome to the stage President and CEO of the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce, Laurel Rosen.
So welcome to the 2020 State of the City Economic Sustainability Summit. I'm really humbled and grateful to be with you tonight. So we're delighted that so many businesses and community leaders, city officials, and residents are joining us for what will be an inspirational evening. Many thanks to our very own city manager, Mayor McKeown, and city council for extending a very gracious invitation to our resident community. You can give that a round of applause. And before I continue, will you also give a big round of applause for all the people that you just saw in the slides and the video behind you? So the definition of social impact is a significant positive change that addresses a pressing social challenge. So often, making a difference seems like an impossible and daunting task. But our keynote speaker, Mick Ebeling, founder of Not Impossible Labs, is filled with optimism and blue sky thinking that has transformed people's lives. Mick is a testament to the infinite power of innovation to generate social good. His innovations prove we can achieve great things when we look at challenges in a different way. He will be an inspiration to you all. We're fortunate to have in Santa Monica to have such a diverse group of businesses represented across so many segments: healthcare, hospitality, technology, and education, just to name a few. We employ over 91,000 people, and we generate over $3 billion in taxable sales revenue each year. In 2019, proceeds from sales and use tax provided $16 million in funding for our schools and $8 million in funding for affordable housing, preservation, and construction. So these are just two of the direct benefits all of our businesses provide to the residents of Santa Monica and significant examples of the power of social impact. Tonight, we bring together thought leaders actively working to find solutions for issues that many cities face. Working with our partners, the Chamber will continue to seek solutions for our most pressing problems: homelessness, economic disparity, the effects of climate change, women's equality, and so on. Several years ago, the Chamber, working with our city manager, Rick Cole, local businesses, and residents, formed the Homeless Action Network on Engagement with the goal to bring people together to combat homelessness. Last Saturday, we had 85 volunteers join us at St. Monica's to work with West Coast Care, who this year alone helped over 400 people get home to their families and over 700 transition into housing and jobs. Yes, thank you. So for 23 years, we've partnered with the Office of Sustainability to honor over 150 businesses that are teaching us all how to protect our planet through their green initiatives. It's like the Water Garden, who this year was able to reduce their water usage by over 5 billion gallons a year. Now that's impressive, right? We must help, sure, clap for them, go for it, why not? We must help our future generations navigate the uncertain world to be successful. And we are proud of our Chamber's young professionals who are leading the charge through the creation of Santa Monica Leadership Academy. Currently, one of our most significant partnerships is with Samo High. Every year, we bring together 700 juniors with business experts to guide them on their career pathways. So, 1920, 100 years ago, was the anniversary of women winning the vote. Women, can I hear hooray? Yes, thank you. We will be honoring the brave women who led this milestone social impact movement at our next International Women's Day celebration on March 12th. So can all the women and my fellow owls in the room. Can I please hear a shout out, please? Thank you. Tonight, everything you hear is about people working together for the good of our world and our Santa Monica. It is truly a privilege to do this work every day alongside people who truly care about the city. Together, we will make a difference that has far-reaching positive effects. I am excited about the future and look forward to seeing how we can shape our world in Santa Monica collectively. Thank you so much.
Please welcome to the stage President and CEO of Santa Monica Travel and Tourism, Misti Kerns.
Thank you so much. Kevin McKeown's love affair with Santa Monica began over 4 decades ago when he accepted a job as general manager of KROQ, a career path began at Yale's campus radio station. He has a range of talents that you may not be aware of. He's an award-winning advertising writer, a voiceover artist, even at one point owning a small radio station and recording studio on Main Street. For 25 years, he has served local children and teachers as a Macintosh computer consultant for the Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District. My relationship with Kevin was deepened on a day that changed the world, September 11, 2001, when one of the very first calls that I received was from then council member Kevin McKeown, who understood that the terrorist attacks on the United States meant major implications for the global tourism industries, major sectors such as air travel, conventional leisure tourism, hotel, retail, and restaurant industries. I share this story because it speaks to working together, even though we have varied opinions, but shared goals that support and benefit this community, and it can lead to success. With a tourism strong recovery, now nearly 18 years later, I'm pleased to say that that work together has brought visitor spending injecting $1.9 billion into our local economy, healthy employment, and our hotels delivering nearly $60 million to the city's general fund from the transient occupancy taxes that our overnight visitors pay. Kevin, thank you. Gotta love those visitors. Kevin is now serving his 6th term, with focuses on renters' issues, affordable housing, environmental sustainability. He is Santa Monica's director on the board of the Clean Power Alliance of Southern California, bringing Santa Monica 100% renewably sourced electricity. Kevin also serves on the State of California's Santa Monica Bay Restoration Commission. He devotes much of his time and energy responding to residents, and his leadership in helping people become more involved in local governance goes back many decades. He came to the City Council after chairing a neighborhood group, serving on the Santa Monica for Renters' Rights Steering Committee, and sharing his professional expertise as the founder of the city's Public Electric Network, PIN, and member of the Santa Monica Telecommunications Working Group. Kevin has helped engage regional cities in working together on important issues such as homelessness, which he brought to the table as Santa Monica's delegate to the West Side City's Council of Governments. He is an elected member of the Democratic Party State Central Committee, where he's a longstanding advocate for single-payer health care, and the Southern California vice chair of the party's Irish American Caucus. He has twice, in 2010 and 2013, been named as our Assembly District Democrat of the Year. McKeown is committed to protecting Santa Monicans' quality of life. And Kevin, thank you for all you do to support programs and help the community understand the positive impacts that tourism offers our city. It is my pleasure to introduce your mayor, Kevin McKeown.
Well, thank you, Misti, and thank you all for joining us tonight. Santa Monica is fortunate to have tremendously talented and dedicated city staff, and we respect their right to express their views. You know, this is the most full this hall has ever been, I believe, for a State of the City. In part, that's because my colleagues on the City Council decided to make this event free tonight for all Santa Monica residents. So welcome to our residents. We're glad you're here. So the last time that I came to you as your mayor with the state of our city was 5 years ago, and you may remember I suggested a number of game changers that were about to affect life here in Santa Monica. So how did I do with those predictions? Get off my lawn!
Okay, Boomer.
Well, yeah, I missed that one. But so did we all. And I think that just indicates the hardest thing to expect is the unexpected. We get a lot of that. We've seen big changes, obviously, as scooters and electric bikes available for rental via smartphone created a whole new category of micromobility. More on that and our other transportation efforts later. Let's go back, though, to the game changers from 5 years ago. Probably the most relevant to today's theme of social impacts and working together is the rise of millennials. We'll get a new demographic snapshot with this year's national census. Please do stop by the Complete Count 2020 booth out there in the lobby. Meanwhile, as expected, it's now the millennials who are joining the Gen Xers in management and setting the standards, not us boomers. That means the connection between business and social impact is more important than ever. Whether as workers or as customers, millennials are more demanding about the values of the companies they support. If companies don't embed social impact into their operations, well, they risk losing crucial engagement from a generation that cares ever more deeply about climate change, diversity, social issues, and equity and economic opportunities. 5 years ago, we were all astonished at the local explosion in tech jobs as we became Silicon Beach. In 2015, our best guess was 22,000 tech jobs in Santa Monica. Now, in 2020, it's over 31,000 jobs at over 3,000 businesses. We're grateful for this growth. Other traditional city revenues like hotel taxes have flattened in the past year, but tech is continuing to grow. Half of our tourism market is generated by international travelers, and that means that instability around the globe and in Washington impacts Santa Monica. Our hotel tax dollars and our other tourism activity are affected by issues like Brexit, foreign trade wars, tougher visa policies, and straight out of today's news, health concerns coming out of China. To better weather these ups and downs, we need to nurture a diverse local economy, one that encourages a variety of sectors to coexist and thrive. So it's fortunate that we've become home to a major tech and creative cluster, including information, entertainment, motion picture and video production, post-production and distribution, and then all the professional and technical services that go along with that: advertising, graphic design, website creation, computer programming, and so on. Marquee names here in Santa Monica include Activision, Cornerstone, Hulu, Lionsgate, Oracle, Snap, Universal. Those are the biggest players. But Santa Monica has become an even more preeminent city for startups, innovators, and entrepreneurs. We have 28 co-working spaces like Cross Campus, Expert Dojo, and WeWork. Those office and opportunity businesses each host dozens of new exciting tech companies. The total tech payroll in Santa Monica is over $5 billion, well over half the annual payroll of the entire city. So yeah, the influx of the tech industry has really been a game changer, as predicted. Of course, I guess we all know that there can be a problem with changing games. New winners can, without meaning to, make life harder for other people. Poverty and homelessness still exist side by side with our economic success. So what can we do to create an economy that works for everybody? Does one segment's growth have to mean another's disappointment? Does neighborhood gentrification have to mean displacement? Or is there a way that we can make sure that all boats rise together without washing some of us away? Equity in economic opportunities has come up locally in our recent efforts to reach consensus about a meaningful well-being plan for our Pico neighborhood. City surveys have shown that residents of our 90404 zip code have the greatest concerns of all of us about household economics, including rent, food, and basic necessities. Santa Monica is looking now at community planning on a neighborhood level addressing local needs and building on local resources. How can we foster a stable, affordable environment where residents enjoy not only fair pay, but the opportunity to become business people themselves, using skills they already have? For the larger Santa Monica business community, looking for meaningful ways to have social impact, well, could local community capital investment be satisfying and transformative? Could owners and employees of our bigger businesses find the social value in their own expertise and experience by mentoring those whose aspirations are still unfulfilled? Just as the original Silicon Valley has changed San Francisco, the success of Silicon Beach is changing Santa Monica. We all know that. Tech jobs pay well, and we're grateful for that. But all that new money is in competition for our limited housing. The online real estate database Zillow recently reported the median home in Santa Monica now exceeds $1.5 million. Apartments have soared too. The median rent for new tenancies in a one-bedroom Santa Monica apartment last year was $2,450, and that includes the older buildings. An apartment in a new building can easily top twice that. Meanwhile, already over a quarter of renter households in Santa Monica pay over half their income for rent. And those are the lower income households, so it doesn't leave much for food, other expenses, or raising a family. Santa Monica's long been a leader in the successful production of affordable housing, but housing demand continues to outstrip supply. Since the last time I came to you, we've begun direct interventions to save long-time renters who are mostly seniors on fixed incomes. The results were so promising, we recently expanded that program called Preserve Our Diversity. New regional housing allocations, expected to be finalized later this year, may ask Santa Monica to accommodate over 9,000 new housing units, of which over half are supposed to be affordable. Well, there's the problem. Left to itself, the real estate market won't produce that many affordable apartments because the money is clearly in luxury housing. Our inclusionary zoning laws will force some affordability, and Community Corporation of Santa Monica continues to build and operate deed-restricted affordable apartments with the limited money we can make available to them. Oh, by the way, if you haven't heard already, 2 weeks ago, Community Corporation of Santa Monica, with a $15 million investment from the city of Santa Monica, bought an existing occupied apartment building in the Pico neighborhood. That preserves 40 units of affordable housing in our city. 37 families who live there now, mostly low income, will remain our neighbors for years to come. And that's important to us. When our city adopted a new zoning code 5 years ago, we created opportunities for new housing in downtown, along the transit boulevards, and in some of our formerly industrial areas. We can produce plenty of housing in places that won't disrupt existing occupied neighborhoods, but it will take subsidies to make that housing affordable. Let me pull you back to the importance of business values and the strong commitment of millennials to patronize and work for businesses that have clear plans for social impact. Housing is a crisis. Housing is necessary for our workforce. And our workers, and both resident and regional customers, want their money and their efforts to make positive change, not continue economic competition forcing seniors and low-income households out of our city. So what can our companies commit to doing about housing? What can the business community as a whole do about housing? The residents of our city, who collectively were another of my game changers 5 years ago, are increasingly fearful the price of economic success will be the loss of their existing housing. New workers streaming to our regional job center and wanting, quite understandably, to live near where they work, increase market rate rent levels and the temptation for property owners to replace existing renters who are paying less. The city of Santa Monica has expanded tenant harassment protection with stronger ordinances and focused enforcement. We put in place Ellis Act eviction delays for teachers, one of our essential middle-class working categories feeling particular pressure. We're exploring ways to provide free legal assistance to residents who are facing eviction and displacement. Santa Monica's legal team working on all this is led by our city attorney, Lane Dilg, who is here tonight. Lane, would you give everybody a wave? Lane and the rest of the Santa Monica Legal Department continue to work on stronger tenant protection ordinances. But Lane also led the charge as Santa Monica went head-to-head in court with the home-sharing giant, Airbnb. And Lane and Santa Monica won. Airbnb challenged our local home-sharing ordinance. The courts upheld our policy to protect our residential units from conversion into vacation rentals and de facto hotel rooms. In the past 5 years, as a result of that, our local home-sharing law has resulted in the return of an average of 100 units per year to the permanent residential market, where we desperately need that housing. Now, we're all here. We know, we can all understand why nobody wants to be forced out of Santa Monica. Working together over many years, we've created a truly wonderful place to live and work. We will continue to be, and we want to be, a promising place for investment, entrepreneurship, and innovation. Santa Monica is a good place to do business, and you all know the importance to a business of being in the right place. So grab a donut, let's take a pause and look at some more of the good news about our city. Santa Monica remains a place that more and more people want to come and enjoy. Even with the recent concerns, our tourism industry contributes almost $60 million a year in hotel taxes alone, money that provides essential funding for schools, parks, police, fire, libraries. Visitors to Santa Monica also dine out in our restaurants and shop in our stores, providing a steady flow of new customers for our small businesses. Santa Monica will continue to be a great place to live, work, and do business because we're actively planning for a better future. After 2 years of studying global trends, we've now entered into the local phase of a process we call Santa Monica 2050. By the end of this year, we will have developed a long-term economic sustainability strategy for Santa Monica. We can survive disruption, which creates new business as old models become outmoded. We can capitalize on data-driven decision-making. New mobility options can reduce the challenges of commutes and gridlock. Connected technology will shift how businesses interact with their customers and with each other. Understanding the global trends, we can identify our own particular local strengths and make the most of them. The Santa Monica 2050 process will this year outline actions and targets so we can all prepare not only to weather economic trends, but to actually benefit from them. But I'm just a mayor. You're the ones who best understand the challenges of your business, your neighborhood, or your neighborhood business. Please, before you leave today, stop by the Santa Monica 2050 booth out in the lobby if you haven't done so already. Take the Santa Monica 2050 survey here on paper or when you go home online, but please be part of this process. We can probably best visualize the process of reinventing our local business assumptions by considering the promenade, which we all know. Santa Monica's 3rd Street Promenade has been the envy of other communities for 3 decades now, an economic engine that also provides entertainment and a public gathering place. Now, the City Council, downtown Santa Monica, and the community are in the process of envisioning a reimagined Promenade 3.0. We all know that brick and mortar retail has hit hard times, and in the past 20 years, movie attendance nationwide has dropped almost 30%. For the Promenade to continue as the centerpiece of Santa Monica, we must diversify from consumption to engagement. We need to rethink how to use existing spaces to encourage new arts and performance options that'll bring people downtown for something they can't buy online or stream on Netflix. And that work, including a physical reconfiguration of the public space on 3rd Street, is already underway. Santa Monica is committed to riding waves of innovation, not succumbing to the undertow. Santa Monica 2050 looks mostly to the future of local business. But another overarching initiative, our well-being project, is transforming how our city can best serve its residents and the people who make our businesses thrive. The well-being project's given us data-driven insights on what the needs of our Santa Monica people really are and where resources are most effective. In fact, it's led to a new performance-based city budget where the dollars we spend are measured against a framework of desired outcomes. The last time I stood before you as mayor, we were just beginning something called the Wellbeing Project, creating a snapshot in time back in 2015. Last year, in 2019, while Liam Davis was mayor, we hosted our first Wellbeing Summit, a free interactive event at Santa Monica College. At that summit, over 900 people heard from experts, shared in hands-on activities, and enjoyed performance art, going home with a better idea of how we can all participate in making Santa Monica a sustainable city of well-being. And that reflects a long interest in sustainability. Last year, we celebrated the 25th anniversary of Santa Monica's original Sustainable City Plan, which set measurable goals for how we as a community act as stewards of our natural environment. In the decade just ended, we added to our urban forest over 3,100 net new trees. Our farmers markets now generate over $18 million in sales each year, infusing our homes and our restaurants with healthful, local, more sustainable food. While climate change worldwide has become a worldwide climate crisis, we've continued to make great progress here where we work and live. The business community is all in, along with the residents, and we really appreciate that. Don't forget that the 26th annual Sustainable Quality Awards are coming up in April. Just last year, in one fell swoop, we reduced Santa Monica's greenhouse gas footprint overnight by an additional 17% over the progress we'd already made, as we switched from electricity created using fossil fuels to 100% renewably sourced electricity from the new Regional Clean Power Alliance, which Santa Monica helped create. I'm proud to report that it's a big deal. And part of the reason why it's a big deal is your participation. I'm proud to report that 92% of Santa Monica business and residential customers committed to the Clean Power Alliance all-renewable service with completely clean solar, wind, and other green power. Now, if you're one of the only 8% who chose to stay with dirty fossil fuel electricity, Greta Thunberg would like to have a word with you. We've done well on water, too, with Santa Monica reducing overall consumption by 20% since the most recent drought. That still leaves us at risk from future droughts or from being cut off from the Metropolitan Water District water, either by breaks in quake-vulnerable aqueducts or just from the rising costs of pumping that distant water to Southern California over mountain ranges. With a new rate program recently adopted by our City Council, we'll become water self-sufficient by 2023. While also investing in local infrastructure so we don't suffer leaks and sinkholes like we've seen in Ocean Park along Ocean Avenue. Our owned local water will actually be cheaper in the long run and guarantees resiliency and stability, whether you're planning a business or planning a family. Being prepared for environmental change is the focus of our 20-year Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, which sets the goal of achieving an 80% reduction in carbon emissions for Santa Monica compared to 1990 in the next decade, in other words, by 2030. Besides clean energy and local water, the plan includes coastal flooding preparedness and a transition to lower carbon food supply chains, which can make a huge difference. Another huge difference, a great example of what's possible for a cleaner, greener future in Santa Monica is rising right now behind City Hall. Our new community services building, City Hall East, will open to the public on Earth Day, April 22nd, which is the 50th anniversary of the original Earth Day. Santa Monica already has over 150 buildings that are LEED certified, but this will be the first municipal building in the country, maybe in the world, to meet the Living Building Challenge, which means net zero on energy, net zero on water, and net zero waste. That's a remarkable achievement. And besides that, it'll save us money. It'll save our city $2.5 million just in the first year by bringing all those resident serving functions together out of offices that we now lease throughout the city and also freeing up that scarce office space for other local businesses. Nearby in Santa Monica's Civic Center this year, we'll be opening the long-awaited Civic Center multipurpose sports field. Any sports fields fans here? Boy, we sure heard a lot about that. And nearby, work continues on the Sustainable Water Infrastructure Project, which is a key part of our water self-sufficiency plan. And there'll still be more ribbon cutting in 2020 in the Civic Center with the new Santa Monica Early Childhood Lab School, which was part of the original Civic Center master plan back in 1993. The Lab School is an innovative partnership between the city and Santa Monica College, providing quality early care and learning experiences for young children, along with the training and preparation of early childhood teachers and providers. That lab school will serve up to 110 infants, toddlers, and preschoolers, increasing the availability of much-needed full-time childcare for working families in Santa Monica. We know what this could mean for the healthy development and well-being of our children. The city and the school district, working with Connections for Children, have documented that our existing child care network means Santa Monica kids enter kindergarten ready to learn at higher rates than the rest of the country. The number of kids who are developmentally vulnerable is decreasing year after year, and that's across every neighborhood in Santa Monica. There are large gains in the percentage of kids who are on track or better. That, folks, is our future. That's our future right there. If local companies or employees are looking for social impact through community engagement, early education for kids under 5 can always use your support. When I was under 5, when I was under 5 after a fire in my apartment house, I dreamed of growing up to be a firefighter. Santa Monica's fire department is probably better off without me. But our fire department has maintained their Class 1 rating, the highest rating given to any fire department nationwide by the Insurance Services Office. And they earned that rating by confining 84% of all structure fires to the areas where they started. That helped to save $42 million in property. California, we could see it, we could smell it. California was hit hard this year by wildfires, and our Santa Monica firefighters joined statewide agencies in responding to the Getty, the Tick, and the Kincaid fires. Meanwhile, down at the beach, our pilot fire department substation 7 has reduced beach emergency response times there by 50 to 60%. And if you're the one who needs a paramedic, that's a big deal to you. I am proud to announce the construction of our much-needed and long-awaited new downtown fire station is on schedule and under budget. I hope you'll join us at the grand opening when we cut the ribbon for Fire Station 1 this May. On schedule, under budget. Applaud for both. Our other public safety service in Santa Monica, of course, is our police department. And I know crime has been a major concern for many people these last few years. Under Chief Cynthia Renaud, we have now added 20 new officers on Santa Monica streets. And I have good news on the results. After 3 years of significant increases in what are called Part 1 crimes, last year we saw a 16% drop. Yep. That made last year the lowest in 5 years for rape, burglary, both residential and commercial, and bike theft. Also, aggravated assaults, which had increased over the prior 2 years, were down 18% last year. We still have work to do. Grand theft auto is still rising by 5%. I'm sorry to say shoplifting was the highest in 5 years. Overall, though, the downward trend in crime seems to be well established at this point, and it's continuing with the tentative figures that we've seen so far this year. If we can lower local crime an additional 7.5% below last year, we will have returned Santa Monica to the lowest crime rates in 30 years. Thank you, Chief. Santa Monica Police Chief Cynthia Renaud, whose hard work against crime we so much appreciate, will this autumn be sworn in as the president of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. Yes, I said international. Chief, would you please stand? Another reason to be grateful. Chief Renault, our fire chief Bill Walker, and many Santa Monica police officers and firefighters were part of our annual homelessness count 3 weeks ago. Now, we don't have the latest numbers back yet, but we do know that our strategies, our new strategies these past several years, have been working locally, while the county-wide homelessness tragedy just seems to get worse. LA County has a shortage of over 500,000 affordable housing units for low-income renters. If sometimes it seems as soon as we house one homeless person, another is on the street, the numbers bear that out. Every day in LA County, our efforts to end homelessness house an average of 130 people. But every day in LA County, 150 new people fall into homelessness because the root causes of homelessness in the county are getting worse. Nonetheless, here in Santa Monica, we achieved a 16% reduction in homelessness downtown last year, with just a very small increase in people on the streets citywide. We are what we call respectful but relentless in contacting homeless individuals and offering them real help. Our C3 team, the help team, downtown ambassadors, and service providers like West Coast Care are all making a difference. We actually expanded the downtown ambassadors to Reed Park last year, helping to create a welcoming public space there for everybody to enjoy. We've now put social workers in our public libraries to ensure that people can be connected to the services they need. Last year, our city council committed the site of a seismically unstable outmoded parking garage on 4th Street to be 150 units of supportive, affordable housing to get homeless individuals and families off the streets and into the services that they need to avoid homelessness in the future. So residents, businesses, you're looking for social impact, for a way to have your families and your employees make a difference, you may need to look no farther than the sidewalk outside. And don't trip over a scooter. Scooters and other micromobility options are only one of the transportation changes that are new since 5 years ago. We now have the first all-electric Big Blue bus in operation on our streets. Big Blue bus ridership, yeah. And if you like that one, there's 17 more coming. So we were making a big change there. Big Blue bus ridership, unlike other regional bus services, is up 5%. Up by 5%. More people on the Big Blue bus. And new bus lanes we put on Lincoln Boulevard have improved transit travel time there by 25%. So again, in the area of mass transit, Santa Monica leads. We've made a commitment to 1,000 electric vehicle chargers in our city. 1,000 EV chargers throughout all of our neighborhoods. Since 5 years ago, we've installed 19 miles of highly visible green bike lanes throughout the city. And we began pilot testing of separated bike lanes on some selected streets. The biggest change, though, since 2015 is Expo Light Rail, which carries 53,000 riders a week and had over 4 million boardings just last year. At the same time, Uber and Lyft flooded our streets. And that means we've gone from 4 local taxi cab companies to only 1. Is anybody here from Taxi Taxi? We're really glad you're here. We need you in our city. We really need all of us in our city. We need you. Tonight's theme is social impact. Social impact takes action. So for 2020, I'll challenge us, all of us, to take action and make an impact. There are so many ways in Santa Monica that you can make a difference. Join the Homeless Action Network. They're making 1,000 hygiene kits and they need your help. Or attend a Universal Human Rights Initiative community dialogue on homelessness at Calvary Baptist Church. They'd welcome your attendance. You can apply to be on a city board or commission, please. I mean, our city is always looking for people who care and who want to contribute. If time is scarce, but hey, there's money in your pocket, donate to a charity that'll make social impact. Or just in general, give a damn. Advocate for meaningful change that will help make our community a better place. This evening, I've been able to touch on only the highlights of what's going on in Santa Monica. The real state of the city is a much longer story. It's a story you and I are writing every day. together. Thank you. Thank you for being part of our community.
Now here's an opportunity for us to reimagine a world where we can have the faith that nothing is impossible.
The best thing that we could do for a homeless person, if it's possible, is reconnect them with their families, because that's usually where all the damage was done. That's where there was a break in something about the family structure. Of course, we know that it's not possible to help everybody reconnect with family, but it's possible to help a lot of people just simply by asking them, do you have somebody back there that we can talk to, a family member or a close friend that could possibly offer you shelter? I think it's really cool when you can really help somebody that can't help themselves. And then you create a path for them that all of a sudden they start having a few good days, and then they start having some better days, and then they start having some best days. And when you see that joy on their face that I'm starting another chapter in my life, and this is going to be a good one. And as we've seen on the beach and on the streets in Santa Monica, that by working with the homeless, you begin to realize that the homeless are just like we are. It's not us and them, it's just us. When we all are challenged, we all are inspired. We all say, what's my part? What can I do? And then we believe. There's something about believing that you can make a difference. And all of a sudden, these doors start to open where you actually can make a difference. As the community does become even more activated than they are now, that we'll turn the tide on homelessness, and that we'll see homelessness shrink, especially in Santa Monica and hopefully in other places too, as people begin to embrace these ideas.
Our vision is to help provide every youth with the opportunities that they need to become successful so that they can actually reach their full potential. We provide case management to all of our youth who actually are in need, and they all have varying needs. We meet them where they are, physically and emotionally and mentally. We want to help them get back on their feet. We want them to be contributing members of our society. When I see them take that, what for them a giant step, is amazing, and I just want to do more. I want more to succeed. We have a youth now who came from camp, who's stuck with us. He got his bachelor's in social work, and he finished and said, I want to give back. So we hired him on as a counselor. Now, there's nothing better than a sort of peer mentor, somebody who's been there, who's been through the system, who knows what it's like. And when I see him working with some of the youth we have now, it's amazing. Most people don't know that it costs $247,000 to incarcerate one youth for 1 year. So with those numbers, it adds up. It's thousands, and this happens year after year after year, which is why we're here, which is why we do what we do. We are trying to stop the cycle. We're catching them when they're still a youth. The coalition's goal is to work with these youths to build their lives so that they can go back and build their families and have an impact and build the greater community.
I think one of the primary roles of a city, of a church, to make sure that anyone that enters into our city, anyone that enters into our community of St. Monica's feels welcome, feel that they're a part of us, feel they're part of a family. And I think if we start there, we have a great opportunity to make a difference, not only in this city, but in their lives and in this world. But if you really are a compassionate person, if you're feeling with people, you're trying to understand them, you get to understand them. And I think by doing that, it gives us an opportunity to carry on a dialogue with people, journeying with people, walking with people, trying to create a compassionate, safe community where everyone is welcome, where everyone can feel that they're a part of the invitation to the table, and where everyone has the opportunity to do our best to try to understand the people we serve. That's what I love about St. Monica. We're not all one community. We're a messy community with a whole variety of understandings and circumstances and even beliefs, and yet somehow joined together at that table, trying to respect each other, honor each other, and then give people the mission to go out and make a difference in this world. One of the things that I think is important and is an ingredient in the whole issue of compassion and caring for people is that it also helps us. When we are generous and giving and supportive and do our best to try to understand people, walk with people, feel with people. But there's a joy in that, but it also, I think, helps us to see that when we help people, we learn from them as they learn from us. The best way for us to understand really what is the state of this city is to go out and to talk to the people of our city, to listen to the people of our city, to feel with the people of our city. And in the process of doing that, I think we will come to know who we are, what this city is, and what the state of this city is for us today.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian McMahon. I'm the founder and CEO of Expert Dojo Startup Accelerator here in Santa Monica. I can clap. Thank you. So actually, and that's a nice segue in. When I was coming over here, I thought to myself, why do I love the state of the city so much? I thought, is it the fact that these are business people and these are folks that we do business with? Or is it the fact that it's a great community and everybody's really nice? But I think what was reinforced to me when I walked in the door and what everybody has reinforced tonight is this is where our friends are. So that's what makes Santa Monica a special and beautiful community. Now, every year I come up here and I have got 2 minutes to introduce somebody special. And today I've got somebody really special that I want to introduce to you. And this man is Mr. Mick Ebeling. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mick. He was recently named Fortune magazines as one of the top 50 world's greatest leaders. He's a recipient of the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian of the Year Award, and he is listed as one of the world's most influential and creative people by the Creative 50s. Mick Ebeling has sparked a movement of pragmatic, inspirational innovation. And as a career producer and filmmaker and now founder and CEO of Not Impossible, Ebeling harvests the power of technology and story to change the world. Mick founded not only Not Impossible based on the principles of technology for the sake of humanity, but he and Not Impossible are continually working to develop a multitude of projects that utilize technology to solve a wide range of fundamental human needs. Now, I heard Mick speak 4 or 5 months ago in Dallas to a crowd of people who were silenced and wowed for the entire time. And when he was speaking, it reminded me of a very famous quote, which at that time I turned on its head. And the way I see Mick is that for goodness to really thrive in the world, we need great people to do something. Now, Mick is one of those great people. And I implore everybody listening today, rather than listen and think this is a beautiful speech and a beautiful human being and he's doing great things, think to yourself, how can I impact Santa Monica in a very positive way after this speech by getting behind what he says. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mick Ebeling.
How's everyone doing? Good. All right, let's see if this thing will work here. How many people know a little bit about, first of all, thank you for that amazing introduction. I can only go down from there. How many people here know about Not Impossible? A thing or two, handful of people, okay, awesome. So what I'll do is I'll spend the next 4 hours walking you guys through everything about us. No, I'm just gonna take a couple minutes, tell you a little bit about the history and how we got to what we do now, and talk to you about some of the projects we've done, and one particular project that we think is really important that we're working on. So let's see if this will go. Nope. There we go. All right. No, it's halfway in between, and it did it, so let's see what it does. So everything that we do at Not Impossible is based on this infatuation that we have of looking at things that are impossible and trying to figure out how to make them not impossible. And the way that we do that, what grounds us, is our mission statement. And our mission statement is change the world through a clicker that works. And if we can get a clicker that works, there we go. Hey, Adam, you want to go drive upstairs? because you know the cadence on this. So our mission is change the world through technology and story. And what this means for us, that's a big, technology and story are two pretty big words. So just to unpack that for a second, this first concept of technology, that can mean a lot of different things. How I got into this was I had an animation and production company, which is a lot of people in Santa Monica in this area come from that space. But I did things like the James Bond main title sequence, which is, I always like to show this because everybody know James Bond films, right? Do you ever know what a main title? Everybody in LA knows what a main title is, right? It's kind of, so in James Bond films it goes action, adventure, explosion. Then it cuts to naked people in animation, right? And then it cuts back to the film. Well, that naked people animation bit, that's a main title. And in the animation world, the world that I was in, that's the Holy Grail. That's the Super Bowl. That's the Stanley Cup. That's what you want to do. There's been only 4 entities in the history of James Bond who have done it. 2 entities that are alive today. But that's not why it was significant. The reason it was significant is that this marked the first time that my mom knew what the hell I did for a living. And so she proceeded to tell everybody that I made James Bond films, which is totally not true. And I never corrected her when she did. So the technology for us was technology for the sake of design, technology for the sake of animation, technology for the sake of characters, technology for the sake of story. And now the world that we play in is still technology, but it's what we call technology for the sake of humanity. And what that means is we will look at the world and we will see things that we consider to be absurd. Things that you look at and you go, that's just not right. That shouldn't be that way. And your qualifications of recognizing an absurdity are very specific. You got to breathe air and pump blood. Because if you can do those 2 things, then you can be revolted, repulsed by seeing something and saying, that's not right, that has to change, and I got to do something. I have to do something. And so that's what we do. We dogpile on these absurdities with groups of engineers and programmers and hackers and makers, and we usually have gobs of duct tape and zip ties along the way, and we figure out how to create that solution, and once we've created the solution, then we figure out how to try to make it accessible for people. Right? So that's what technology for the sake of humanity is. And the second thing is this whole concept of story, right? And story is this underpinning for us because we came from a world of production and design. We use story as that vehicle to scale, right? We don't, my last name wasn't up here, but my last name is not Gates. My last name is not Buffett. My last name is not Bezos. Or Bezos, because you got to say it twice after the divorce, because they both have lots of money, right? So we come into these initiatives and we say, all right, we don't have gobs of money to throw at this thing, so what are we going to do? So we go and we focus on telling the story. We have a mantra called help one, help many. And what we do is we focus on a problem of one person, and then we fixate ourselves on how do we make that absurdity, solve that absurdity for that one person, and then how do we tell the story about that one person. And in doing so, and then blasting that story to the world and telling these compelling stories, then it gives everybody in this room a chance to relate to that story. Because if I said to everybody in this room, who here wants to solve the hunger problem in LA? Okay, it took you a couple seconds. It took you about 3, I asked the question, I went 1 hippopotamus, 2 hippopotamus, 3 hippopotamus, and then some hands went up. But if I said to you, hey, I live over around Gold's Gym, and there's a homeless encampment over there, and I know a young kid over there named Jimmy who did 2 tours over in the Middle East, and I go visit him every now and then just to check in and make sure he's okay. And he's a good kid. He always tells me that he went and he saw some stuff and did some stuff that he can't quite get his head straight, and he came back and he can't quite get it. He just can't quite get it together. And you know how when you're talking to someone and nobody's home, and you know when you're talking to someone and someone's home but there's just kind of a haze, there's just kind of a little monkey on their back? That's Jimmy, right? He's a good kid, but he just can't quite figure it out. I just asked in this room who here wants to help me solve hunger, and you guys, after about 3 seconds, put your hand up. But if I said to you, after this talk, I'm going to take my hat, I'm going to put it right here, and anybody who wants to put a couple bucks in afterwards, I'm going to go buy Jimmy a sandwich. Who wants to do that? Bam! Okay, did you see how easy that was? you see how easy that was? Before I finish the question, y'all put your hands up. Because now hunger has a name. Hunger has a face. Hunger is a human being. It's not a theory. It's not a concept. It's not a statistic. There's a human being on the other side of that. And that's what we do. So we begin every initiative that we tackle by asking ourselves the question, who is the one? Because we know that if we can find that one and we can solve for one and we can tell the story of one, that maybe can give us the impetus and the ability to just take that and scale that out to many. Make sense? All right, so that's how Non-Impossible thinks. That's how we live. That's how we approach everything. So chapter 1 happened because of this guy. This guy is a paralyzed graffiti artist that my wife and I met accidentally in downtown LA. And we discovered, after learning and meeting with his father and brother, we discovered that this guy who had ALS, who had been lying motionless in bed for 7 years, the only way he could communicate was through a piece of paper with the alphabet on it. And his brother would run his finger along the piece of paper, and then when his finger would get to a letter that he wanted, he would blink, and his brother would write it down. And he would start again, finger, letter, blink, finger, letter, blink. Now, I don't have anybody in my family with ALS who's completely paralyzed, but I've seen stories of Stephen Hawking. I've seen news reports of Stephen Hawking, and I've seen the devices where they move their eyes back and forth, and then it moves the cursor on the screen, and it selects a letter, and then the robot talks like this, right? You guys have seen that too. He couldn't afford that. His parents didn't have the right job. And in the same hospital, 2 doors down, 2 rooms down, other people had it, but he couldn't have it. That's absurd. That's crazy. Why would one person be able to have it and one person not be able to have it, right? So we said, all right, I don't know what, I don't know how, but here we go. We're going to jump on trying to solve this thing. So we ended up, I told my wife we were going to do something. My wife and kids and I, we moved out of our house. We invited all these hackers and makers and programmers and misfit geniuses from all over the world. They moved into our house. We pushed all the tables and chairs against the wall. And we figured out how to map the surface of the eye. And in creating that surface of the eye, we were able to track the pupil and create a device that looked like this. It's called the Eye Rider. And it's a cheap pair of sunglasses from the Venice Beach Boardwalk because I believe in locally grown, sustainable produce. That's locally grown, sustainable produce, right? It's a copper wire, a coat hanger. You duct tape it to the side, you bend it around to the front, and then you put a web camera back, and you knock one open, you zip tie it to the front, and it looks like this, right? And we took it to his hospital room after about 2.5 weeks of just no sleep, just cranking on trying to get this thing done. And eventually, we took it to his hospital room. Sorry, but we may or may not have broken into the used car parking lot downstairs from the hospital, and we set up a gas generator, but there's no proof that we did this. We set up a gas generator, and we set up a massive projector this side connected to the generator with a wireless signal back up to the room. And this artist who had been lying motionless in a bed with this device put on, sat in his room with all his family and friends gathered downstairs watching, and he drew again for the first time in 7 years. And it was an amazing night, right? People were crying, high-fiving, right? And this guy came from a rough part of town, really rough part of town. And his friends were hugging and crying and high-fiving. And we went out and celebrated afterwards, and then we went home because we had done it. There was no grand plan. We just wanted to help this one dude. And then we woke up. We woke up and it was Time Magazine's top 50 inventions of the year. All of a sudden, all this crazy press started coming in from all over the world. It's now part of the permanent collection at the MoMA in New York. And we were like, wait a second. We just wanted to help this one dude. And all of a sudden, this thing went bigger than anything we could have ever imagined. And so it started to make us think, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe I should stop doing this production thing, and maybe I should focus on just using technology to help people, and maybe there's some meat on the bone here. Obviously, things went crazy. People were contacting us all over the world and telling us about the things that we had published this open source, and so people were using it. And so I thought about it, and I talked to my family and friends about it, and I prayed about it, meditated on it, slept on it, and eventually I said, I can't go focus on this. I gotta stick with my job. I'm gonna stick with what I got. My company was thriving at the time, but I'm gonna stick to my day job. I'm just going to go back to work. Almost the moment that I made that decision, I got an email from the artist. And it said, the email was, that was the first time I'd drawn anything for 7 years. I feel like I've been held underwater, and someone finally reached down and pulled my head up so I could take a breath. So let me ask you guys, if you're deciding to or not to do something and some dude sends you an email like that, do you really have a choice anymore? No, and that was the launch of Non-Impossible Labs. And that began this infatuation, thank you. And that began this infatuation of this whole concept, this thought process of what's impossible. And here's the crazy thing about impossible. You can't name anything that's possible today, not a single thing that's possible today that wasn't impossible first. Think about it. Think about the chairs you're sitting in right now. Think about how you got here today. Think about these incredibly heavy, massive chandeliers hanging on tiny, thin little wires above you guys right there. That's like 2 tons worth of glass hanging above you guys. I wouldn't sit there, but it's like, but we come up with all these things. We're all impossible until when? Until someone made them impossible, right? And so if you think about that, and I don't want to send anybody into any state of PTSD, but do y'all remember the SATs? Remember the inverse, everyone's like, oh, SATs, right? Remember the inverse logic questions? Inverse logic question is, if everything that is possible today was impossible first, then the inverse of that must also be true, which is everything that is impossible today, if you base it on stats, if you base it on history, if you base it on everything that has transpired up to this minute right now, everything that's impossible must be on the trajectory of going from impossible to what? That's just straight stats, right? I am wearing white shoes, but I'm not trying to convert y'all to a cult, I promise, right? That's just straight stats and data. So we said, all right, and that's the whole the fallacy of impossible. And once we realize that when we look at all the problems that are facing our society today, that all it takes, and you said it, it just takes us to say, I'm going to do something. Not we got to wait for, the stats you were throwing up there are incredible. Things are made possible when human beings decide to go do something. And that motivates the larger institutions to go do something, right? You can't do any of the shit you were talking about if you didn't have passionate people doing it. No way. No way. So if we sit back and wait for entities to tell us and give us permission to do it, ain't nothing's going to get done. But when you guys decide that you want to do it, all of a sudden, it empowers you, and it empowers your cities, it empowers the states, and it empowers the country to say, all right, we're going to go do something. And that's how we make change, when the human beings in this room decide we're going to go do something. And then all of a sudden, that tidal wave happens. And that's how you make the country great. All right? So we're working on a bunch of other stuff right now. Well, I'll show you this next. So this next project, it's called Project Daniel. This was chapter 2 for us. It started off because I went out to dinner with a friend of mine on July 11th. He told me about this incredible doctor named Dr. Tom. Afterwards, I went home and researched him. He's this incredible human being. He was based over in the Nuba Mountains, this remote village in the Nuba Mountains, which is this region between South Sudan and Sudan. He's the only doctor in a 1,500-mile radius. He has to do everything, right? He's a modern-day Mother Teresa. So I read this story about him after dinner, and I'm reading and I'm digging into this thing, and it talks about the one thing he hates to do is to perform amputations. And so I'm like, why is this guy performing amputations? So I dig into that a little bit, and what I learned is the current reigning president of that country at the time was bombing his own people. And he was bombing them with 55-gallon drums filled with jet fuel and shrapnel. And these giant Molotov cocktails would hit the ground, make a big crater, and spray shrapnel everywhere, and that would either kill you or maim you. And so I'm reading this thing, and I read the story, and as I'm going through it, it talks about this one particular boy named Daniel who was tending his family's goats and cows out in the middle of an open field. And because the bombings happen all the time, there's bunkers and foxholes and things for people to hide in because it's just like the sun coming up. The bombs come every day. But he's out in the middle, this young boy is in the middle of an open field. There's no place for him to run, no place for him to hide. He heard the bombs coming. He looks for a place to go, and he saw a tree, and he went and he wrapped his arms around a tree. And the bomb went off not far from where he was, and luckily his body was behind the tree because of that, it was protected from the blast. But because his arms were on the other side, It blew off his arms. And so your response was my response. It's 11:30 at night. I went out to dinner with a friend of mine. I read this story, and I'm flipping through, and this is the image that I see. And the thing that got me was not so much the image, because the image is gut-wrenching. But what really got me is that this 12-year-old boy, when he woke up, the first thing he said was, if I could die, I would, because now I'm going to be such a burden to my family. There's not a single human being in this room right now that if you woke up and you were a double amputee, that your first thought would be, I feel so bad for all the people who are going to have to take care of me. Your first thought would be, poor me. It's what mine would be. It's what our kids would be. And so I was like, that's crazy. Well, all right, I got to do something. I don't know what. Told my wife, we're going to do something. She goes, are we moving out of the house again? I said, yep, we're moving out of the house again. Move out. All these crazy people move into our house. And we start to hack, and we start to program, and go through all these different things and machinations. And guess what? Guess what? Everything we tried failed. Every single thing we tried failed. But luckily, we just don't accept no. And we don't accept that we're going to fail. We just keep pushing and keep pushing. And we had some brilliant people come in and say, all right, come here, kid. And they dusted us off, and they taught us how to do different things. And eventually I got on a plane, and I flew into the refugee camp. And that's not the plane, obviously. But we flew into the refugee camp. And on November 11th, which was 4 months to the day that I went out to dinner with that friend of mine, and he told me about Dr. Tom and Daniel, this happened.
There's this thing in me that loves to see things that are supposed to not be done, be done.
Daniel is just one of 50,000 amputees left in the wake of the bloodiest war Africa has ever known. We flew into an active war zone in Sudan with 3D printers, laptops, spools of plastic, and the goal to build Daniel an arm. You ready? The concept of Project Daniel was hatched on July 11th. And on November 11th, Daniel fed himself for the first time in 2 years. But it's never about just one person. If we could teach the locals to do it themselves, then Project Daniel could live on long after we left. And it did. So that's Project Daniel. And so we came back, and in that whole concept of change the world through technology and story, we launched this thing, and this thing went bonkers, right? Everybody in the world was talking about this thing. All of a sudden, all these awards and accolades started coming in, but that's not why we did it. By doing this, what it now allows us to do is have this whole conversation of that tirade that I just went on about the fact that real people can go do these things and start a tidal wave of change that happens just by saying Geronimo. There was a slide that we flashed over up in there at the very beginning that I skipped over, but one of our mantras is commit and then figure it out. And I can't tell you what a powerful way that is to operate. When you say something has to be done, I don't know how, I don't know who, I don't know why, but here we go, whoop, and you just jump into it, right? And that is really the movement of non-impossible, when everyone here realizes that we are the ones that can go out and actually do something significant. And Pastor Ron talked a little bit about that as well. So we're working on a bunch of other things right now. We've got projects that we're doing where we're recreating mobility for the elderly and handicapped with wheelchairs. We're working, we've done some work in terms of creating devices that help to alleviate symptoms of Parkinson's. We're doing all kinds of crazy things, but we also realized that we needed to talk about the things that other people are doing. So we hosted a podcast. We're celebrating other people and the amazing things that they do. We hosted an award show in downtown LA. It's June 13th. Put it on your calendars. Everybody come on down. It's at Ace Theater in downtown LA, and it's this celebration of people who just said, I got to do something. And they committed, and then they went out and they came up with whatever solution they needed to. And it's this incredible celebration of people and humanity that are actually doing whatever they can to drive our planet forward. If nothing else, you just leave thinking like, all right, our species has a chance, all right? It's not just about the news feed that we see every day, but we're going to do something. So I would invite you guys to come on down for that. So this last project I'll tell you about is a thing called Hunger Not Impossible. It's something that we're incredibly passionate about. So everything that we do starts with an absurdity, right? What's absurd? So you look at the stats around hunger. Close to 50 million Americans struggle to put food on the table every day. 1 in 3 people who are homeless are vets. That's criminal. That you can go serve your country and come back and have even a 1 in 6, 1 in 9 chance of being homeless, that ain't right. That shouldn't be that way, right? 1 in 5 kids live in a food insecure home, and you look at the stats in our state or in our city, you've got 1.4 million adults who are food insecure and 500,000 kids who are food insecure. And here's the crazy thing. You ready? We got plenty of food. It's like showing up to you walk into the kitchen, you go, I'm hungry. And your mom or dad says, we got plenty of food. We just can't figure out how to get the cupboard open. If you were a kid, you'd say, Mom, Dad, break the damn thing open, right? Get the sledgehammer out. Do whatever you got to do. It's a supply chain issue. So we chose our one, and we chose homeless youth. There's an organization over by where we work in Venice called Safe Place for Youth, and we interviewed kids over there. And you know what? We asked them, what do you prioritize most? You know what they said? Any guesses? Nope. Cell phones. You laugh. Why? Why would someone who is homeless, is destitute, who is probably hopeless, has a lack of hope, why do they want a cell phone? Community, connection, it's an equalizer. It doesn't know what color your skin is, doesn't know what your pants look like, who you sleep with, who you pray to, doesn't know any of that stuff. It's just an opinion. It's just a connection with another human being. So we said, all right, you can't eat the damn thing. We got to do something with it. So we created this super ridiculously simple CRM tool. CRM is just a way for people to be in touch with what's going on. And what we did is we created this, so now we give it to churches, we give it to charities, we give it to schools, Boys and Girls Club, Covenant House, whatever. Those kids, that group, they already have cell phones. 97% of the people in this country have a cell phone. Whether you're poor or rich, you have a cell phone. They're able to input the phone numbers for those people into this, and then it sends them out a simple text message. And the text message, why is it a text message? Simple. Apps, first of all, y'all have 27,000 apps on your phone. You use 5 of them. That's number one. Second is apps cost data. You got to have a data plan. Well, if you're living on the street, you have something that calls or texts. That's what you got. And then you try to go find Wi-Fi that you can get on if you can do something. That's if you have a smartphone. We created a super simple way where all you have to do is enter your address after you're prompted, after the Safe Place for Youth prompted them, are you hungry? They said, yes, or they prompted it. Then they said, enter your address. You enter your address. Now we manually locate you. Now we know exactly where you are. You know when you guys took Uber or Lyft over here and you opened it up and it saw where you were? That's because you're on a data plan. If you're not on a data plan, it doesn't know where you are. That's when you put on the airplane mode, right? That's what it does. Now you tell the address, we know exactly where you are. And now what we do is we populate around you options. You can choose a restaurant and then this food option. Now, why is that different? Why is that unique? Because here's what we do. Go to the next slide here. What we've done is we've taken a tool, charities, and we've given them a simple tool. They just enter the phone numbers for their constituents, and we push them to local restaurants. Why do we push them to local restaurants? Because if I'm homeless, and then do you know how many people who are homeless who will go to school? How many people are homeless who are the working homeless? They have jobs. They can't break out at lunchtime and go all the way across town to try to get fed. They don't want to lose their job. So what we do is we make it so that we populate the same way you see Ubers or Lyfts that populate around you. We populate restaurants that are close to them, and then there's an invisible transaction that takes place behind the scenes. They've chosen a healthy menu option. They don't get to go order the cheesy McCheeseburger heart attack, you know. They get to go in and they order the turkey club or the veggie burrito or something healthy. And when they walk in, now the charity has fed them. Charity knows they're pushing them a meal to someone who they've specifically chosen. They're pushing them to a local restaurant. So now you're actually stimulating the local economy. You're actually pushing money back into the hands of the people of the community. Now, and we're doing it at a discounted price, but we're also sending it to them during off hours. Any restaurant owners in here? Okay, well, just imagine you were a restaurant owner. What's your slowest time? Between 2 and 5. How valuable is a customer between 2 and 5? Pretty damn valuable, right? So we can push customers during that time, and they walk in, the person who's homeless or who's food insecure gets to walk in, and they don't walk in as Mick the homeless kid, Mick the homeless vet. They just walk in as Mick. And they walk in, and they show them whatever the redemption code is. They give them a number. They give them a name. They grab their food to go. They say good day, and they walk out, right? And they walk out with dignity. You treat people with dignity, they act dignified. And now they get to eat, and they get to go on about their day. Charity benefits. Everybody benefits. See all this? Where'd that come from? We're just ripping off Lyft and Airbnb and Uber. Right? It's a sharing economy. Now we're just sharing restaurants instead of beds. And I know you don't like Airbnb, so we're not going to go there. Right? Now we're pushing them to local restaurants. Now, I think you like local restaurants, though. Mayor, I think that's a good one, right? Now we're stimulating the economy while we're solving problems within our community. Now, I'm going to address it over to this over here. If we could feed the people right now who are food insecure, who are living on the street, and we could take away that one concern, that one need that they had, intuitively, is that going to drop petty crime? Is that going to drop some of the BS that goes on? Yeah, because, look, when we were cavemen and women, and we were hungry, we're like, if I go attack that moose, I'm gonna get trounced. Something's gonna happen to me, but I'm hungry and I'm gonna go for it. And you would go for it, right? Because you gotta feed your family. Well, that's a lot of the decisions that these people are having to make right now. I can either starve or I can go do something that I know is not right, but I'm gonna have to go do it because I need to get fed. If we can take that out, we want it. Our vision is that you guys don't have to do it actually lessens the amount of work you're doing to chase people down and apprehend people who don't want to be. They just want to get ahead. And so we see food as a way to reduce crime. We see food as a way to reduce the amount of repeat customers that people are repeat patients that are going into hospitals. I want to come out next year. I would love to see the statistics that you're blowing up. Like, by implementing Hunger Not Impossible, we have made we've lessened the stress on our police force. We've lessened the stress on EMTs. We've lessened the stress on hospitals having to provide free health care, which drives the health care costs up for everybody else. And we're doing that with just feeding people. That's the basics of Hunger Not Impossible. That's all we're trying to do. So this isn't a theory. We launched this. We've launched this in Venice. We've launched it a couple places, but we launched it in St. Louis. And in 90 days, we fed 12,000 meals with a text message. Now here's some better news. All right, Adam, can you stick your head out the window up there? You guys see this handsome, long-haired guy up there? He's the one who's making sure. You notice I'm not using the clicker? Because he and I know exactly what they're going to say. So Adam drives our Hunger Not Impossible program, and he's going to come up afterwards so you can see him, but we can answer any questions. But we've been going out and talking to different cities and municipalities, because if I ask you, where are you from, what are you going to say? Santa Monica, baby. That's right. And if I ask you guys, most of you, it's Chicago or Charlotte or New York or whatever, we relate to our cities. So we've been going and talking to mayors. We've been talking to cities. And we just came back from Memphis. And we got a phone call last week from the United Way, and they said, hey, we love this Hunger Not Impossible thing. We want to feed. We'd like to do this, but we want to do 3,000 meals. And we went, okay, that's nice. That's good. I mean, we've already done 12,000 meals, but okay. And then they said, a day. And we went, oh, all right, here we go, right? And so we're going to be launching a pilot. We're launching a bunch of different pilots. We're doing one in downtown LA. We're doing one in Memphis. We're doing one in Fort Worth with a hospital. But we're going to feed 3,000 meals a day for 6 months, which is close to 500,000 meals. And we're going to do it through a text message. So this is an open invitation to anybody and everybody in this room. You can go to our website. You can see Hunger Not Impossible on our website. You can get in touch with us. It's super simple, right? Here's the ingredients. You need people to pay for the food, right? Funders that give money to the charities, to the Boys and Girls Club, to the Covenant House. You need the charities who actually want to implement this program. That's it. You thought I was going to say more, didn't you? That's it. Because we take care of all the work on the back end to be able to connect to the restaurants. Because the restaurants are feeding through Grubhub and Eat24 and all the different things. Like, they're already doing that. We just tie into that. So if you've got a charity that wants it and you got people that can pay for the food. All right, so why do we pull all this stuff off? You ready? Get your phones out. I'm going to drop something really big right now. You ready? Here it comes. It's because we shouldn't. We shouldn't pull this stuff off. I've got no special degree or diploma or credentials. I've got no training in any of this kind of stuff. The reason we pull this off, and I write about this in my book, the reason we pull this off is that we believe in this thing called beautiful, limitless naivete. When you see a problem and you say, that's wrong, I got to do something about it, and you didn't get the memo that you're not supposed to be able to pull it off. You don't believe because you're too clueless that you're not qualified or skilled or adapt to be able to pull it off. So we approach it and we say, that has to be solved, and then we find our one, and then we just say Geronimo. We commit and figure it out, and we just go. So I'm going to leave you guys with this quote. It's one of my favorite quotes in the world by Horace Mann. And it's, refuse to die until you have won some victory for humanity. Horace is breaking it down pretty clean for us. If you've done good, you can die. If you haven't, you got to stick around for a little bit longer until you do some good. So my question to you guys is this, right? What's your victory going to be? Right? How are you going to use your skills and your intelligence and your power and what you guys have in this room? How are you going? What's the story that people are going to tell about you? And I think we can all say that if you're sitting in this room right now, nobody is worried when they go home that all their belongings are going to be out on the street. Nobody is worried that they're not going to be able to eat tonight or tomorrow morning. We might have a lot of crazy stuff going on in our lives, but most likely if you're sitting in this room, you probably are going to be okay for the next little bit, right? So if you have that in your life, can we just establish this? If you're sitting in this room, you're blessed. Fair enough? Okay. Fair enough. If you're in this room, you're blessed. All right, so here's my question. How are you going to use your blessings? How are you going to use your blessings? You've been given something. You're going to hoard it? You're going to keep it to yourself? You're going to try to just make as many widgets as you can for yourself? Maybe every now and then give a little bit out? Or are you going to try to use that as a way to help your community, to change your community, and to change? What if your mantra was to be the best ancestor you could be? Think about that. What if it wasn't just about taking everything you could get for you right now and kind of screw the future generations? They can fend for themselves. What if you could try to start to do things that could try to change your own communities and your own world? So the question I want to ask you guys is this. Who's your one? Who is that one person that if when you guys leave tonight and you walk out, you walk home, drive home, who's that one person that you probably have either read about them, you've seen them, whatever? What would happen if you were to choose that person and say, I'm going to help that one person. I'm going to do something for that one person. If nothing else, you pass Horace's test and you can die if you'd like, right? But the chances are you're going to help that one person and you're going to say, that actually wasn't that hard. I'm going to do it again. And Pastor Ron talked about it. Just What if you just reached out to somebody? What if you just said, hey, can I help you? Do you have some family members? Can I buy you a sandwich? Whatever it might be. What if we all chose one? How many people are in this room right now, would you say? What? About 1,000 people. Ready? Here's a math question for you. If 1,000 people go out tomorrow morning and help one person, how many people get helped? Take a minute. Get your computers out, get your phones out, right? But how would you like to go and see that happen instead of getting on your news feed and seeing some of the shenanigans that are going on in the world, right? How would that make you feel? How would that change the people that are around you, and how would that change everybody? So I want you to go out and think and ask yourself your question, who is your one? Or another way to say it is, who is your Daniel? Who is your Daniel? All right, thank you guys very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mick, and thank you to each and every one of you for being here tonight. Thank you for committing to making an impact. And thank you for committing to make the impossible possible. Please join us now at the reception. Gather together, collaborate to see how you can make a difference. Thank you all for joining us tonight.